Well, welcome everyone to another hotel room full of bits. We just finished in the last video the Utah leg of the Trans-American Trail, which is fantastic. And we're now starting on our final leg to the Pacific, which incorporates Idaho and Oregon. So if I just flick the camera around and have a look at the map. So here we are, the map of the whole Trans-American Trail, the TAT. And we currently are here, just having come out of Utah. And we stay on the main TAT through the vast majority of Idaho, and then we branch off west towards the coast on the Pacific Ocean Spur, which goes through Oregon all the way to the end of the trail. So we just come out of Utah, and this here behind me is the state line with Idaho, and that's the state we're going into. But you can see, if you watch the other video, you can see, the Utah video, you can see how incredibly different it is already from Utah. Now obviously there's a state line, so there's an element of this in Utah, but only for the last possibly 5 or 10 miles. And it's become very quickly increasingly arable, increasingly green, really nice. So this is our starting point for Idaho, and we're generally going to be traveling, what are we doing, northwest in the state. So here we go. So we've been coming through Idaho this morning. Beautiful, very, very arable, farming on a huge scale. And then suddenly we came across that little gorge we went through. And if I can show you the sign, we stumbled across balanced rock. There's a notice all about it, saying bits about differential weathering. And there she is. If I can show you behind me, looks like a little question mark. Good, isn't it? Morning everyone. We camped by this reservoir last night, south of, about probably 80 miles south of Boise in Idaho. It's actually a little campsite. Bit of a rainy night, and then we've woken up this morning on the Sunday, of course, to find yet another puncture on my bike, another rear flat. So it's wheel off, change the tube, etc, etc, and then see if we can get to Boise, which is a very large town, where we hopefully can change both the tyre and the tube. So we left our little motel this morning in a town called Emmett in Idaho. We filled the tanks with fuel because the route suggests that there's no more fuel for about 200 miles. We pretty much immediately crossed the Snake River, which in that part of Idaho forms the state line between it and Oregon. So we're now in Oregon, and we started riding through the countryside on sort of gravel tracks, and if I show sort of around, it's beautiful actually. Nobody here, but lovely roads, really well maintained actually, gravel tracks, and kind of what I would regard as sort of Welsh hill and moorlands. Very pretty. So this is us heading now northwest, deeper into Oregon. So yesterday we got caught out a little bit. We did a couple of high passes and the weather closed in a bit. It started to snow, looked a little bit threatening. So we decided to get down from the kind of higher altitudes that we were at, just sort of from a safety perspective really. Weren't quite sure what the weather was going to do. So we ducked down and went to a town for the night called John Day. It's actually called John Day City, but it's actually quite a small town. Stayed in a motel there. Quite an interesting town actually. It was part of the sort of gold rush era. Lots of prospecting, etc. All the sort of shops and bars, etc. all reference the gold sort of era. And actually it had a little Chinese heritage centre there as well, due to the number of Chinese immigrants that came over in the gold rush to work in the mines. Anyway, we stayed there the night, and we've woken up to a lovely day, done some lovely forest trails in one of the very large national forests in this area, and we're just pushing on west into Oregon. Absolutely smashing riding. How you doing?
What are the chances of getting through this?
Go right ahead.
Yeah?
Yep.
Have we got any more problems further on?
There is a road closure just past ours a little ways, probably another mile or so, but that's detour. Thanks very much.
Morning everyone. Well, we found a lovely camp spot last night. So we're now in central Oregon, and we were riding through Crooked River Canyon, and we came across a place to pop the tents up, which is behind me, and it's absolutely smashing. In fact, let me just take you down to the river and show you just where we are. So this is the river right by my tent, and if I just swing us around, show you the kind of view we've got. That is a view by our campsite. Lovely. So this morning we're going to crack on, and we're riding further sort of through central Oregon. A couple of wilderness areas to go through. The first one being Devil's Garden wilderness area. So we're going to see what that's like. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Very good.
This is the edge of a big caldera, 20 miles around.
Right, okay.
And here you go down into it. There's two lakes. You familiar with those at all?
Uh-huh.
Polina Lake and East Lake.
Yeah, we're going past those.
Yeah, they're right down there. And it's maybe 2 more miles of gravel than you hit paved. The dirt everywhere out here is volcanic ash and rock.
Right, okay.
For miles and miles and miles. This was a 20,000 foot mountain at one time.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
This is called the Newberry crater. And this, I mean, you're headed for the Cascades here. That's all volcanic stuff.
Wow. We had a lovely ride yesterday, some fantastic trails, all up and down the mountains in the volcanic area, which was very, very interesting. It was great actually, some glacial lakes and all that sort of stuff. We then came off the TAT just for a short period because we were encountering very, very deep sand, and it was with the laden bikes, it was very, very slow going. So we ducked off for a bit, went to a town called Roseburg, stayed there in a little motel for the night, and now we're heading back towards the TAT. We just stopped here at a little town called Remote. Just thinking we might get a coffee or something, but it's so remote that even the shop behind me is shut. But hey ho. So yeah, we potentially might finish the TAT today if all goes according to plan. There was quite a lot of rain last night, so the trails when we hit them might be a bit slow going. But we'll see how we go, and we're ever onwards towards Port Orford on the coast.
This is the last of the world famous Barnet hound. I got her on the chain. I cannot believe that she made it from the park to here that fast. Because my uncle had some of the best dogs, and he killed more coyotes than probably anybody on the face of this planet. And they'll give me that animal rights look.
No, it wasn't. I was just wondering if you still get coyotes around here.
Oh, they're thick as fleas on a dog's back.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And every time he'd kill a coyote, you know, he'd cut the mask, you know, he'd scalp it, basically, ears and scalp, because the county paid him a bounty. Well, salmon season, coyotes, it's not that they're hungry, they like to kill. So during lambing season, they'll go through there and they'll kill 5 or 6 lambs, and they might only eat like the liver out of one. Yeah. This is the single tree that Mr. Jennings used here on the ranch. It was this place was settled in 1871. There's an old hammer. The old lunch boxes.
Oh, this is some place.
Yeah. And that's the post office. And it's, go on in there, just the way Aunt Maud left it. Aunt Maud died in 1993, and I'm the first one to unlock the door since she died. And it was full of old food and stuff, and I come in. She wanted it to be a museum. That was her dying wishes, so I said, okay. I made it a museum. Yeah. I have some stuff from back in the day, though. You know, look behind you there. All them spices and everything. All this medicine. You know, he stole the election. They stole it.
So what's going to happen next time?
Boom. Yes.
You reckon he'll get back in?
Yes.
Do you?
Yes. If you don't, we're going to have a Revolutionary War. Another one.
Yeah. Skeeter, it's been a real pleasure.
Yeah,
real pleasure.
Yes.
Really glad we met you.
Yeah, same to me.
And thank you very much for showing us everything.
Yeah.
There you go, boots in the Pacific. We made it across. So we came into Port Orford last night over the last of the sort of mountain ranges. There are mountains almost to the shore here, probably to within three or 4 miles. And we were basically riding through cloud and rain, but the trails were great. It was a lovely sort of route in to our final destination at the Pacific. So Port Orford being the traditional end for the Trans-American Trail if you do coast to coast. So that's us gone from the Atlantic to the Pacific using the Trans-American Trail. And a brief reflection, it's been superb. An absolutely fantastic way to see America. I don't know what the right phrase would be, but you see sort of small-town America, the real America, whatever the right phrase is. Meet loads of people, see the scenery, and really get a feel state by state for what the US is all about. And it's been an absolutely fantastic trip. So having arrived at Port Orford last night, and this is one of the Port Orford beaches, we had a nice evening, a couple of beers to celebrate completing the TAT, and a few games of pool with some of the locals, which was a really nice evening. Just out of interest, I'm standing in front of a thing called Battle Rock, which was where the initial small group of white settlers, basically, with a chap called Captain Titchener, were pinned down for about a week when they were repelled on their first landing by Native Americans. They did return a little while later with a well-armed group of about 90 men and created the settlement which is now Port Orford. And we found some nice accommodation in Port Orford just for the night at this little place behind me, the Shoreline Motel, which for anyone doing the TAT, motorbike wise, I would genuinely recommend this place, and I'll show you why. Yeah, so if you see behind me, these are the rooms that go off, but this overhang, because Port Orford has quite a lot of rain, so this overhang sort of porch area that I'm kind of standing under now is part of the car park, and you can see the bikes parked back there. And Craig, who's the chap that runs the place, was really helpful, and said that we can, we've done an oil change of the bikes, we've had bits and bobs, given them a bit of TLC last night, and this is quite a big deal to have somewhere covered and solid that you can work on the bikes is a real bonus. This is a great place.